This is Project 3, Stock Market Pattern Analysis, and my name is Elizabeth Whitbread. I will be applying this analysis to the company Athena Health, stock symbol ATHN. Athena Health was co-founded by Jonathan Bush and Todd Park in 1997. The company is headquartered in Watertown, Massachusetts. Athena Health is a provider of cloud-based services for electronic records, revenue cycle management, and medical billing, patient engagement, care coordination, and population health management. So, electronic healthcare. There's a great video of Jonathan Bush, TEDMed 2013. I included the link, What's Wrong with Profit in Healthcare? It's a good video on the topic. Okay, so I used a tool called TradingView, which provides technical analysis tools for investments. Now that tool, what I could do is first I used a Quandl Excel add-in tool, and that tool allowed me to apply an add-in to my Excel and then download a database for Athena Health from Yahoo Finance. So there's a number of databases that you can download from Yahoo Finance. That data dropped into Excel. And then TradingView allows you to create graphs on trading data, and then you can also add notations and publish them to a public site or a private site. And then the most robust site that I used was MacroAxis, and it's a technical analysis tool. You're able to build a portfolio and then produce correlation analysis on the various investments within the portfolio. And then you can even apply the Bollinger Bands analysis, or there's others as well. So those were some of the resources I used. And this slide, the analytic resources, that was what I just mentioned. So here in the correlation using MacroAxis, you can see I put in a number of different investments. I just chose a number of them. I chose Google, Athena Health, Apple, Epicor Software, Cerner, and General Electric. So Cerner, Epicor are competitors. So those would be negatively correlated because if one goes up dramatically, one of their competitors, they may be taking business from a competitor. So there's a negative correlation there. Athena Health is found, based on this analysis, positively correlated with Google. So it moves in a similar pattern to Google. And then it also shows some correlation analysis between like GE and Epicor. There's insignificant correlation, so there wasn't really a correlation between the two. So that was where I started with the correlation analysis. And then in more detail here shows Athena Health and Google were a positive correlation matchup. The stock has a similar trend. When one goes up, so does the other. There are the exceptions of drastic moves within the stock. Those don't replicate between the two different stocks, but the graphs below we're using a 12-month horizon for the analytical input. And then I also did a chart that measured the volatility between Athena and Google because they're positively correlated, but as you can see, Athena has less of a curve on the volatility curve, where Google has a larger bell curve, so it's more volatile than Athena Healthcare at this time. And then there's a negative correlation matchup. Oh, next slide. Negative correlation matchup between Athena Health and General Electric. So if General Electric goes up, the correlation, if it's negatively correlated, as Athena Health would go down. The daily returns of General Electric versus Athena Health is what this is showing. The red is Athena Health and the blue is Athena Health and the red is General Electric. So whale tracks are something that you look for, and the whale term is the whales are the investment houses that move the market. So if you see whale tracks, this is evidence that there's a large volume has been purchased, and then once the stock price hits a certain profit, they sell their position and the price levels out. So many of the investment houses purchase shares of stock. They have a certain profit that they intend to make, say it's 10%, and when the price hits that target, they sell off their position. So I found that 110.3% of shares of Athena Health are held by institutions, and the position is funds and banks plus firms. So the institutional investors, people look to the percentage of institutional investors because many investors see that if there's a lot of institutional investors, they believe that good things will happen because the larger firms see something they may not see. So they believe they're invested in that company for a reason. And the next topic is support and resistance levels. So resistance levels are regarded as the ceiling because price levels prevent the market from moving upward. And support levels act as the floor by preventing the price of an asset being pushed downward. And so it's really just watching the trend line. If you have a resistance level, the ceiling, that's where you buy it, it goes up to a certain level, and or maybe it goes to a certain level, you buy it, and then it just stays at that price. So it's not pushing up above the price that you bought it at. So and then the support level is kind of, if it drops, it really doesn't go below this level. So I think for Athena, we have about a $28 floor. It's basically the floor and the ceiling is what the support and the resistance level are displaying. Bollinger Bands. Bollinger Bands are used to also show an upward limit and a lower limit. The first thing you do is you generate a rolling average on the data. So you start at 12 months and calculate the average. Then for every data point you have after that, you calculate a rolling average. And then you calculate the standard deviation. So I also did this in Excel. So I took the open, close, low, I think it was the open, close, low, and high of the stock price, and then on that you calculate the standard deviation. So the upper band for the Bollinger Bands is 2 standard deviations from the mean, and the lower band is 2 standard deviations below the mean. When the price approaches the upper band, it's time to sell. So that's where it's getting close to the time that people are going to start selling. At the upper limit, investors are going to start selling off at that upper limit. So my recommendation, let's see, based on the research that I did, the Bollinger Band analysis is showing that it's a good time to buy because it's, I'm going to go back one slide, which I can't do in this. See? The price of the stock today is not approaching the upper limit of the Bollinger Band, and so it's a good time to buy. Macro Axis allows you to do some forecasting, which is pretty neat. You can watch the input some values. So say for the 30-day forecast, that's your time horizon, and then you say how much risk you're willing to So the 30-day forecast for Athena within macro axis is, as you can see, the line is trending upwards. And at the 1-year forecast, it's still trending upwards. Now at 2 years, you can see here that the trend is starting to level off. And so over the next 24 months is a good time. The price of the stock is climbing. So you want to buy low and sell high. So as you can see, out 2 years, as the trend starts to level off, you would make less money in this investment if you waited, say, 24 months to invest. The buyers, let's see here. So the buy-or-sell recommendations are dependent on your investment horizon, so how far out you are forecasting, and your risk tolerance that you want to apply. So if you're very aggressive, then the position may be different than if you are looking for a very safe investment. So we'll look at a couple examples of this forecasting within macro axis. So here I applied a 6-month investment horizon and an aggressive risk taker, 80 out of 100. And as you see here, the model gives you a strong buy recommendation. And now if we reduce the risk tolerance to the same time horizon to be 60 out of 100, you'll see that Athena Health still is a strong buy. But if we move the investment horizon out 1 year and still a 60 out of 100, called an educated risk taker, you'll see that out 1 year it's moving into more of a hold position. So the stock is maybe not growing as fast as it was before, and so that's recommending that you hold. That is the information that I found on Athena Health. Athena Health is a company that I'm very interested in based on their initiative to be disruptive in the healthcare market. We're in a healthcare market that is rapidly changing, and they've been pushing the envelope to get the industry to change and onboard people into the electronic health record systems. So that is all for this project.